And back now with our panel, two members of CBS News political team here this morning, Norah O'Donnell, our chief White House correspondent, and John Dickerson, our political analyst, and also joining us, Julianna Goldman of Bloomberg News, White House correspondent for them. And Julianna, I want to start with you because you were one of the questioners at the Republican debate last week. It seemed to me they pretty much just sort of stayed in place. What did you take away from it?
Well, Bob, Herman Cain came across as very likable, authentic, compelling. But with his new frontrunner status comes the scrutiny of a frontrunner and questions about whether the 999 plan really adds up. Rick Perry, he really came to that debate needing to play. He didn't have an economic plan to put forth. This was a debate focused only on the economy. He also did not use the opportunity to really hit Mitt Romney very hard on health care, instead talking about the need to block grant Medicaid dollars back to the states. And then Mitt Romney, he really did seem to be the most confident and comfortable on matters of the economy at the debate.
There seems to me, John, to be kind of a consensus in the political community that whether Republicans are excited about him or not, it looks like Mitt Romney is headed to the nomination.
Well, that's right. I mean, he has stayed at a consistent level in the polls. He's gotten so much better as a candidate compared to the last time he ran. He's knowing when to stay out of the fight and then when to engage. And at these debates, he's a competent person, and he continues to win those questions about can you beat Barack Obama. But the problem is there have been these candidates, whether it's Trump or Perry or Bachmann or now Herman Cain, that suggest that they just don't love Romney yet, and he's got to hope he can just weather out all of those flavors of the week until he's the last man standing.
Is Herman Cain for real?
Well, he is for real, but as Julianna mentioned, he's got in trouble on the 999 tax plan from conservatives who don't like the sales tax piece. And when you talk to strategists on the political side who have his good fortunes in mind, they want him to do well, what they say is that, he's been on a book tour, he hasn't been to Iowa in 2 months, he doesn't really have an organization there. And they say what he's got is lightning in a bottle. That's what they talk about this when you're the flavor of the month. But the problem is it's all lightning and no bottle. He needs an organization to capture that enthusiasm, and that's the worry about his ability to go forward.
Who do they think is going to be the person they're going to run against at the White House, Norah?
I think there was a growing sense this week that Mitt Romney is likely going to be the Republican nominee from the attacks from the Obama campaign in Chicago, also from the White House, which now wants to paint Mitt Romney as Wall Street's best friend. I heard from David Plouffe, the president's senior advisor, that there is, of course, growing anger at Wall Street amongst independents, Republicans, and, of course, Democrats. They're going to paint Mitt Romney as a Wall Street sympathizer, someone who wants to roll back Wall Street reforms, who in the debate with Julianna this past week said that he is against a payroll tax, calling it a little Band-Aid. So that's going to be what's moving forward. I asked David Plouffe, so are you going to paint him as a Wall Street sympathizer or as a flip-flopper? And he responded both. So I think that's the way this campaign is going to be.
Now, what about the Tea Party? Is the Tea Party still a factor out there? And they're not all that happy about Mitt Romney. Will they come around?
Well, no, and that was one of the interesting back and forth during the debate was when we pushed Mitt Romney on whether or not if there is some sort of financial meltdown, would he do what Bush and Paulson did? Would he back another sort of Wall Street bailout or TARP? And he went after a lot of back and forth. He essentially said yes, and that's something that could really come back to hurt him in the primary with conservatives. Let
me ask you all both. I mean, while you all are concentrating on politics, there are a lot of people that don't have a job out there. Unemployment's still way up there at 9%. The president put his plan out there this week. Congress couldn't even figure out how to vote on it. Where does that all go now, John?
Well, it's interesting. We heard Herman Cain picking up on this attack, similar attack to the one the White House is making on Mitt Romney. He says, I'm the candidate of Main Street, Romney's Wall Street. That's what this is about, the people on Main Street who don't have jobs. I'm speaking to them. But the large group out there that don't have jobs who are frustrated with politicians. And the politicians with their sound bites and even their 999 plans may not necessarily be talking to the people who don't have the jobs and are frustrated with a political system they look at and think nothing that you do is going to actually affect my life or change it.
What is he going to do now, Norah?
He's going to keep on this bus tour. I mean, the president's on a new bus tour to North Carolina and Virginia, two key battleground states that, of course, Obama was able to turn blue in this past election. And they're going to start breaking up in pieces the jobs plan and hope that Republicans can sign on to some of the parts of the president's jobs plan. But the White House still firmly believes that the jobs plan is popular with the American people.
Well, do you think it has any chance, any part of it, any chance of passing, Julianna?
Well, probably the element that has the best chance is getting that payroll tax cut extended that expires at the end of the year. The White House would like to see that extended on the employer side and on the employee side as well, making the argument if Republicans push back against that, then the White House can come back and say, hey, we're for more tax cuts now than the Republicans are.
John, where do you think it goes?
Well, I think you probably do get something in the end. The question is, do people look at this and say, that this is the minimum amount you can do, and we don't give you necessarily any credit for doing this very little bit that doesn't affect us in our lives?
Does anybody here think the election will be about anything but the economy?
Well, no, and that's the other problem with what's likely to get passed from the president's jobs plan, the payroll tax cut extension, some of the others. They might help the economy prevent another going back into a recession, but they don't necessarily create jobs.
All right. Well, we have just run out of time.